Okay, this is just a short video tutorial where we're going to talk about the tcpIP layer 5, the tcpIP 5-layer network stack. This will be the network stack that we use throughout this course, and for most purposes, it's the most popular you will see in your career. So let's get started. Get a new page going here. There we go. Don't quite know how to use the tools yet. Okay, so we look at the tcpIP stack. We usually represent it something like this. 5 layers, and the top layer we call the application layer. And I draw a line to a little person to indicate this is the layer that we as users most often interact with. And I'll expand on that in just a bit. Second layer down is the transport layer. Underneath that is the internet layer, sometimes also called the network layer. Underneath that is the data link layer, and then at the bottom is the physical layer. And I'm going to describe them starting at the bottom and working our way up. Let me get a different color pen here, just so I can highlight things. Let's start by looking at the physical layer. We won't talk much more about the physical layer in this class, but you need to know what it is. This is where we're actually dealing with the ones and zeros and wires and the electrical signals and so forth that are actually being sent across the network. And this is whether it's a wired network where we're sending this as electrical signals, whether it's a wireless network where we're sending this as electromagnetic radio waves. The physical layer deals with whatever technology is going on to actually send the bits across our medium. Next up is the data link layer. If you look at a network, let me change my pen color here. It's a lot of machines that are connected together. Not every machine is connected to every other machine, but in a network you can always get from one machine to another if possibly by going through other machines. So let's say we're going from point A to point B. Going from point A to point B, we may go through machine 1 and machine 2. So we'll have a path that follows something like this. The data link layer deals with physical connections between two machines. Because we can't go from A to B without first going from A to 1, and then going from 1 to 2, and then going from 2 to B. Data link is concerned with going from A to 1. It's also concerned with going from 1 to 2, and it's concerned with going from 2 to B. It deals with machines that are physically connected to each other, and how do we move data from one to the other. Now contrast this with the internet layer. When we're programming or transferring data at the internet layer, all we care about are the endpoints. So in this case, A and B. We're sending data from A to B. So it encompasses the entire path and routing data from one endpoint, our source, to the other endpoint, our destination. Now, it does deal with the details of routing in the middle and everything, but it's not worried about moving bits from one machine to another at the data link layer. We'll talk a lot more about the internet layer in this course. One step up from the internet layer is the transport layer. Right now, all you need to know about the transport layer is that it exists. This one is possibly the most important layer we're going to discuss in this course, but it's hard to sum up in just a few words. So I'll punt that for a later video when we can dig down into the details of what actually happens there. For the time being, suffice it to say that the transport layer makes the internet layer and the data link layer and the physical layer makes it much easier for us as programmers and users to use the lower level layers. And finally, at the top, we have, again, the application layer. And this is the layer that user-level programs like web browsers, Firefox, Internet Explorer, chat clients, any kind of application we use on our computers, those exist at the application layer. They don't want to worry about the details of sending packets through the internet. That's handled by the internet layer. They don't want to deal with the particulars of moving bits from one machine to another. That happens at the data link and physical layers. At the application layer, we simply want to say, I want to communicate with another machine on the internet. All the other details are taken care of by the lower level layers. So once again, these are the 5 layers of the TCP/IP network stack. You will need to know them. They will become important throughout this course. So please, study those, do the readings. Let's talk briefly about the different protocols you can expect to learn about at each layer. So I'm going to recreate my stack here. So application layer, transport layer, internet layer, data link layer, physical layer. At the physical layer, most of the times we look at wired versus wireless networks. At the data link layer, the protocol we normally talk about is Ethernet. And this is a data link protocol for local area networks. At the internet layer, we have 2 possible protocols that we'll deal with. One is Internet Protocol, IP, version 4. IP version 4 is the Internet Protocol that is in most widespread use currently. Because of technical limitations by IP version 4, we are hoping to transition to IP version 6 within the next few years. Briefly, what's happening is we're running out of internet addresses at IP version 4, and we need to upgrade to IP version 6 to have more available addresses. At the transport layer, the most common protocol we deal with is transport control protocol. And obviously TCP, this is where we get TCP/IP from. And those are the 2 most important protocols we will talk about in this course. At the application layer, you have as many different protocols as you have applications. Probably the most common one you deal with on a daily basis is HTTP, or the Hypertext Transfer Protocol. This is the protocol used to display and format web pages. But there are plenty of other protocols that you'll encounter. One that's been around for a while is FTP, the File Transfer Protocol. And there are tons of these. One you'll see is SSH, Secure Shell. Trying to think of something else off the top of my head. There are protocols for chat servers. There are protocols for blanking, but various things like this, and every one of them operates differently. The one we will be most concerned with in this class is HTTP. All right, well that's it for the the quickie introduction to the tcpIpStack. There are more readings regarding this in your course. If you have questions, please feel free to email me or contact me via online chat. Come see me in my office. You know the drill.